league. Going to try to go through this real quickly. The first game on tap was the Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams won 35-14. Looking at this game, the Rams were controlled throughout, scored in every quarter. They outgained the Seahawks 361-208. Rush yards 99-16. No rushing game whatsoever for the Seahawks. Pass yards 262-192 in favor of the Rams. Turnovers 3 apiece. Both teams needed to take better care of the ball if they want to do some damage this year. Looking at the passing stats, we have Jared Goff, who was 16 of 25 for 270, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Russell Wilson, 10 of 25 or 10 of 22 for 223 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Also took 3 sacks in this game. We look at rushing the ball. Todd Gurley had 15 for 100 for 2 touchdowns. A good game by Gurley. Carson was only 5 of 9. Carson will be nominated for shitting themselves this week. Going to the receiving stats now. Tyler Higbee had 5 for 128. He's going to be nominated for the stud of the week. You have Tyler Lockett, 6 of 95. Robert Woods, 7 of 89 for a score. DK Metcalf had 1 for 75 in a score. Brandon Cooks had 2 for 42. Will Disley had 1 for 26. Cooper Kupp only had 2 of 11. Not a good game for him. And Cooper Kupp will be nominated for the dud of the week. Going looking at the defensive side of things, which is very active this game. Looking at the sacks, Donald had 2 sacks, Jadeveon Clowney had 1, Dante Fowler had 1. Looking at the interceptions, Trey Flowers had 2, Bobby Wagner had 1, Nicole Roby-Coleman had 1, Corey Littleton had 1, and Jalen Ramsey had 1. The next game on the slate was a forced win, so we're not really going to look into this game too much. We'll just look at the individual stats. Newton had 261 yards, 23-32. Rushing, McCaffrey 23-92, Fournette 14 for 43. Julius Wright had 6 for 106, and DJ Moore had 6 of 70. D.D. Westbrook 458, Chris Samuel 5 for 41, D.D. Shark 2 for 23. Defensively, let's see if there's anything that really happened. A sack by Kawan Short and Josh Allen, and an interception by no one. Alright, so we'll just wrap that game up pretty quickly. The next game on the slate, the Patriots and Redskins. The Patriots won 20-6. Looking at the box score here, the Patriots had a big second half, outscoring the Redskins 14-0. There really no offense this game. Total yards 144-85 in favor of the Patriots. Rush yards 126-17. Amazing rushing yards by the Patriots. But passing, they really did nothing. Didn't look like they needed to do anything, but 18 of 68. Both horrible passing yards in this game. Turnovers, the Redskins had 6 turnovers compared to 2. This was a sloppy game. Alex Smith was 7 of 12 for 111 and 3 interceptions. Dwayne Haskins was 2 of 6 for 3 picks. Had more interceptions than picks. Dwayne Haskins will be nominated for shitting themselves. And with that stat line, I can almost guarantee you that he's going to be the winner of the shitting themselves of the week. Tom Brady was 6 of 10 for 34 yards and 2 interceptions. So, like I said, not a good game for either team passing the ball. Sonny Michel, 26 for 126 and 2 scores. Sonny Michel will be nominated for the stud of the week. Chris Thompson, 3 of 11. Darius Geis, 4 for 8. Receiving, Terry McLaurin had 2 for 45, Darius Geis 1 for 34, Jordan Reed 3 for 23, Matt LaCrosse 1 for 15, Edelman 2 of 13. Looking at the defensive side of things, J.C. Jackson had 2 sacks, Jonathan Jones had 2 sacks, Montez Sweet had 1 sack, Ryan Kerrigan had 1 sack, Terrence Brooks had 1 sack, Kyle Benoit had 1 sack, Lawrence Sky had 1 sack. Looking at the interception department, Devin McCourty had 3 picks. He'll be nominated for the stud of the week. When you have 3 picks in the game, you're probably going to get it. Stephen Gilmore had 2 picks. Josh Norman had 1. Jason McCourty had 1. And Reuben Foster also had 1. The next game on the slate was the Bills-Titans. Titans won 24-17. Looking at the box score of this game, the Titans dominated the first half and didn't do much in the second half. Yards gained pretty even actually, 387 to 386. Rush yards pretty even, 132 to 126. Pass yards obviously even as well, 260 to 255. Turnovers, 2 for the Titans, 1 for the Bills. Both teams took pretty good care of the ball, I would say. Josh Allen was 25 of 32 for 262 and 2 scores. Ryan Tannehill was 17 of 28 for 255, 1 score, and 2 interceptions. Looking at the rushing stats, Derrick Henry 11 for 105 and 2 scores. Devin Singletary had 20 for 61. Looking at the receiving stats now, Cole Beasley 8 of 69, Delanie Walker 4 for 64, John Brown 6 of 56 and a score, Devin Knox 4 for 52 and a score, Adam Humphries 3 for 50 and a score, Corey Davis 4 for 42. Looking on the defensive side of things, sacks, we had Harold Landry III had 1 sack, Gerald Kesey had 1 sack, Lawrence Alexander had 1 sack, Rashaan Evans had half a sack, T.J. Watt half a sack. Looking at the interceptions, we have Tremaine Edmonds had 1, and Tre'Davious White had also an interception. Looking at the next game on the slate, the Baltimore Ravens just demolished the Steelers 45-7. When you're looking at the box score, offensive yards gains 313 to 205, 76 rush yards for the Ravens, 43 for the Steelers, pass yards 237 for the Ravens, 162 for the Steelers, turnovers 4 turnovers for the Steelers, while there's 1 turnover for the Ravens. Looking at the player stats now, Lamar Jackson was 12 of 15 for 244, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. He will be nominated for the Player of the Week with that outstanding performance, and we all know he's probably going to have some rushing yards. Ben Roethlisberger 14 of 24 for 169 and 3 picks. Rushing, Lamar Jackson 9 of 78. James Conner had 15 of 43 for a score. Receiving wise, Willie Snead, the 4th, had 8 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. He will be nominated for the Stud of the Week. We also had Marquise Brown with 3 for 112 and 2 scores. Vance McDonald had 5 for 66. James Conner 4 for 37. James Washington 2 for 34. Noah Vanette had 2 for 20, and Ryan Switzer had 1 of 12. Looking at the defensive side of things, in the sack department, Matthew Judon had 1, Casey Hayward had 1, or Cameron Hayward had 1, my bad. Get my players confused. When it comes to interceptions, Marlon Humphrey had 2, Earl Thomas had 1, and Joe Hayden also had an interception. Looking at the next game on the slate, you have the Bengals beating the Cardinals 24-0. In this game, Dalton was 11 of 16 for 138 and a score. Kyler Murray was 2 of 14 for 39 yards and 7 interceptions. I hate to say it, but he's probably going to be nominated for the Dud of the Week, and he'll probably get that. He had more interceptions than completions. Rushing the ball, Mixon 17 of 145 and a score. David Johnson 1 of 6. Receiving wise, John Ross 3 for 47, Mixon 3 for 31, Boyd 2 for 27, Christian Kirk 1 of 25, AJ Green 2 of 22. Defensively, stacks 2 for Dunlap, 2 for Atkins, 1 for Peters, 1 for Buddy Calhoun, 1 for Evans. Interceptions, William Jackson had 3, Jay Kirkpatrick had 2, Buddy Calhoun had 1, Patrick Peterson had 1, and Darquise Dennard had 1. On the next game on the slate, it was a fair sim, or it was a forced win, so we're not even going to really look at that. We'll just lightly glance it over. Watson had 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Ryan 219. Rushing, Devontae Freeman had 20 of 66. Corey Grant 9 of 35. Receiving, Will Fuller 4 for 79. Thomas 5 for 73. DeAndre Hopkins 4 for 64 and a score. Julio Jones looks like he had 2 scores as well. Defensively, sacks. Vic Beasley had 2 interceptions. Jonathan Joseph and Damontae Kazee had 1. Looking at the next game on the slate, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Saints 31-6. Looking at this game, yards gain was pretty even, 267 to 243. Rush yards in favor of the Buccaneers 58-18. Pass yards in favor of the Saints 225 to 209. Turnovers 2 for the Saints, 0 for the Buccaneers. Passing the ball, Winston was 11-14 for 2 scores, 219 yards passing. Brees 10-16 for 239, but 2 interceptions. Rushing, Ronald Jones had 2 for 47. Kamara had 9 of 8, so Kamara will be nominated for the dud of the week. Receiving wise, Mike Evans 5 for 159 and 2 scores. He'll be nominated for the stud of the week. Tre'Quan Smith had 4 for 134. Michael Thomas had 2 for 48. Jared Cook had 3 for 38. OJ Howard only had 1 of 16. Defensively, sacks. Jordan Whitehead had a sack. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a sack. David Onyemata had a sack. And Bo Allen had a sack. Going by interceptions now, Mike Edwards had a sack. And Carlton Davis III also had interception. Interceptions. Next game on the slate was the Vikings-Giants. The Vikings won 45-7. Wasn't even close. Yards 38-75. Rush yards 209-9. Pass yards 129-66. Looking at the individual stats, Kirk Cousins 5 of 5, 142, 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones 7 of 18, 127, 1 interception. Rushing, Delvin Cook 13 for 200 and 2 scores. He'll be nominated for the stud of the week. Saquon Barkley only had 2 for 3. He's going to be nominated for the stud of the week, and right now he's probably going to get it for the dud of the week. Receiving wise, Adam Thielen 2 for 93, Ingram 1 for 51. Golden Tate had 2 for 27. I expected to see more from Ingram. He only had 1 reception. Sacks, Everson Griffin had 3, Anthony Barr had 2, Leonard Williams had 1, Marcus Golden had 1, Lance Joseph had 1, Daniel Hunter had 1. Interceptions, Eric Kendricks had an INT. Next game on the slate, Bears, Raiders. Bears won 31-21. Looking at the box score, 322-281 in favor of the Bears. Rush yards 102-15 in favor of the Bears. Pass yards 231-220 in favor of the Raiders. Turnovers 3 for the Raiders, 0 for the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky had 16-19, 220 and 2 scores. Talk about efficiency right there with an 84 completion percentage. Derek Carr was 8 of 19 for 2 scores and 3 interceptions. He had 243 yards passing. Tariq Cohen had 16 of 81. Josh Jacobs 9 of 42 for a score. Winner top by receiving. Allen Robinson had 5 for 82. Zay Jones 2 for 63. Darren Waller 2 for 62. Hunter Renfrow 3 for 30. Jalen Richard had 1 for 58. Taylor Gabriel had 3 for 38. Tariq Cohen had 2 for 27. Looking at the defensive side of things. Quarterback sacks, Akeem Hicks had 1, Leonard Floyd had 1, Benson Mayowa had 1, and Maurice Hurst had 1. Interceptions, Jeff Heath had 2, and Danny Trevathan had 1. Next game is the Jets-Eagles. This is pretty much a forced win, so we're just going to glance over the individual stats for this. Not going to go too in detail. Darnold had 239, Wentz had 275 yards passing, Le'Veon Bell had 54 yards rushing, Trenton Cannon 45, Miles Sanders 14, Amari Cooper had 83 yards receiving, Robbie Anderson had 66, Zach Ertz had 57, Jamison Crowder had 53, Alshon Jeffrey had 40, Demaryius Thomas had 42, and Trenton Cannon had 43. I don't even know who that is. Defensively, sacks. Looks like Queenan Williams had 1, Jordan Willis had 1, Blake Jackson had 1, Falaronzu Fatukaski, whatever the hell his name is, had 1, Nathan Shepard had 1. Interceptions, Avery Williamson had an interception. Now we're down to the last 4 games. of the week. Then we'll do the Chargers and the Broncos. Chargers dominated. Box score don't really know about. Yards gained 348 to 126. Rush yards 195 to 56. Pass yards 153 to 70. Turnovers, the Chargers took very good care of the ball with 0 turnovers, while the Broncos had 4. Can't be turning the ball over like that. Phillip Rivers was 9 of 11 for 153 and 2 scores. Drew Lock was 10 of 18 for 94 yards and 2 picks. Rushing, Austin Eckler 18 for 191. He'll be nominated for the stud of the week. What a great performance by him. Philip Lindsay had 8 for 49. Melvin Gordon had 2 for 5. Receiving wise, Mike Williams 3 for 74. Lance Kendricks had 2 for 48. Dez Bryant had 3 for 48. Keenan Allen 1 for 21. Michael Crabtree 1 for 21. Looking on defensive side of things, for the sacks, Brendan McBean had 1.5 sack and Joey Bosa had 1.5 sack. Going to interceptions, Darwin James had 1 and Drew Tranquill had 1. Going on the next game on the slate, it is the Packers-Cowboys. Packers won 27-10. Looking at the score of this game, the Packers had a huge fourth quarter to kind of seal the game. The yards gain was in favor of the Packers, 273 to 194. Rush yards 60 to 32 in favor of the Packers. The Packers had 213 pass yards to 162 for the Cowboys. Turnovers, the Packers had 2. The Cowboys had 4. Cowboys need to take better care of the ball. Aaron Rodgers was 9 of 17 for 218, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Dak Prescott was 11 of 20 for 205, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Rushing the ball, Aaron Jones 18 for 60 and a score. Zeke Elliott had 4 for 30. Receiving, Jimmy Graham had 2 for 83. Paris Campbell had 4 for 79. T.J. Hawkinson had 3 for 79 and a score. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 1 for 79. Devontae Adams had 2 for 32. Michael Gallup had 2 for 28. Looking on the defensive side of things, Zadarius Smith had 3 sacks. Jalen Smith had a sack. Preston Smith had a sack. Kevin King had a sack. And Rashawn Gary had a sack. Looking at the interceptions, Jerry Alexander had 2. Byron Jones had 1. Darnell Savage had 1. Hawkland Dix had 1. And Shaman Williams had 1. Going now to the Colts Chiefs. Chiefs dominated 38-7. You probably know by the box score, Chiefs dominated every category, 371 to 176 in yards gained, 122 to 34, 94 rushing yards, 249 to 82 in passing yards. Turnovers, they had no turnovers, while the Colts had 4 turnovers. Looking at the individual stats, Mahomes 15 of 17 for 260 and a score. Jacoby Brissett 10 of 22 for 82 yards and 4 interceptions. Rushing the ball, Marlon Mack 11 of 92 for a score. Damian Williams had 12 for 67 in a score. LaShawn McCoy had 5 for 55 for 2 scores. Receiving, Tyreek Hill had 5 for 142 in a score. Travis Kelce 5 for 60. Tyreek Hill will be nominated for the stud of the week. Looking at the defensive side of things for this game, in the sack department, there's only 1 sack by Kamoku Toure, who had 1. For the interception department, Travarius Ward had 1, Darren Lee had 1, and Kendall Fuller had 1. The final game on slate was the Browns and 49ers. 49ers won 28-10. Looking at the box score, the 49ers had a huge fourth quarter to kind of seal the game. Yards gained 298 to 155 in favor of the Niners. Rush yards 62 to 5. The Browns really sucked at running the ball that game. Pass yards 236 to 150. Turnovers 0 to 4 turnovers. That was the difference, folks. Those 4 turnovers by the Browns. Jimmy Garoppolo was 15 of 17 for 278 and a score. Baker Mayfield was 11 of 20 for 173 a score, but he had 4 interceptions. Rushing, Matt Breida 9 for 34, Tevin Coleman 3-4 for 29, Kareem Hunt 3 for 5. He'll be nominated for the well, we actually know Saquon Barkley's probably going to get it. Receiving wise, George Kittle 4 for 153 and a score. He is nominated for the stud of the week. Marquise Goodwin 5 of 78 for a score. Rashard Higgins 262 for 65 and a score. Landry 4 for 49. Defensively, this game, 4 sacks for Myles Garrett. He will be nominated for the Stud of the Week defensively. D Ford had 2, Olivier Vernon had 1, Nick Bosa had 1, Sheldon Richardson had 1. Looking at the interceptions, Jimmy Ward had 2, Mark Nisiacha had 1, and Richard Sherman had 1. That's it for this week. I will be posting the studs and duds of week 5 probably around Sunday evening. So peace out.